Hey, it's Don, the Auction Professor here. Today is Sunday, so we are going to do another What's Sold on eBay. We're just going to hop over the screen here in just a second, and I'm going to show you some of the items we've sold in the past week. So here we are again. I just picked some random items, nothing particular or special. This is just from the one store. I am limited to obviously what I can show you just because I don't share some things in our other store at all. And I just don't want to give away everything that we do. It's just not a smart thing to do, obviously. This is a tile. It looks like it's hand painted. It's been framed. This is something I got for $1. It's missing some feet, so I didn't even bother to fix it up. You can see the one is still there. It's actually a decent tile here. There's a maker's mark, if I'm not mistaken, on the back side. Yeah, it's a H.R. Johnson. It's from England. It's a nice piece. I got $11.24 out of it. I paid $1 for it, as you see it, so I'm not really worried on that. I've got about 30 cents into listing it as well, too, and then fees, maybe another $1. So I made like $8 off of this. No big deal. No big, huge push on it. Next item here, a postcard. Now, this one I took 20 on. I had a whole bunch from the same city, Hickory. I sold several of them, and I've showed them in a haul, too, that I actually got $125 for each one of those. I think maybe even $145 I got for a few of those. So this is just extra nothing, really, to me. I've got nothing. I made like $500–600 profit off of this purchase already, so I took 20 on it. I let it ride a little longer. No big deal. So I have 60 cents into listing it at the most. So anyway. Next one, sheet music. Now this one is up for a little while. This is one of those quarter sheets that I get in big bulks or even less than that. I got $8.62 for it. It's nothing into it. So that's the point here. I don't care. I flipped it. I made $7 or so off of this one item. I sell sheet musics quite often. I don't show many of them because most people just don't seem to be interested in them in the first place. I threw a few more in here just to try to, I say, pique your interest, I guess. This is a compact. I think it was $24.50 on this one here. It's just like a souvenir ladies compact from Nashville, Tennessee from the 40s or 50s. I have 50 cents or $1 into something like this at the most. I never spend more than that, or it's a big lot of stuff that I bought and it's just pennies into it. Next item here is one of my postcards. Now, just off of this one listing, I sold 47 of these. I'm literally have a reorder on this particular one here, so there'll be a second print of this one here. So on this one postcard here, I'm almost in the $700 profit range from this one single postcard design, just to give you a hint on money potential on things like this. So anyway, let's move on to the next one here. This one I took $28.50, I believe was, yeah, $28.50 on this one. It's a CBS promotional 8x10, basically. Nothing fancy, nothing special. National Geographics. I think I sold this one for $8.50. Yeah, $8.50 on this one here. Again, I've got like 20 cents into each one of these. With the fees, I'm still making like $7 profit on this one here. Label here, took 15 on it, just a luggage label. Again, I buy these in bulk. Sometimes I'm lucky enough. Other times I find individual ones, or a picker will save up and have like 2 months worth all at once, and I'll end up getting 40 or 50 of these from someone else. So this is a California, just a perfect example. I buy the Concord Mall ones whenever I run across them. I've had a couple dozen from the Concord Mall, and I've sold many others of these, and I know I've shown at least 2 others of these in my What's Sold on eBay videos, on these Sunday videos here. So if you look back, you'll see other ones of this same thing selling. Cornell, I took 55 I've got into this one right here. I've sold a bunch of these. I throw a price out there. I don't know what all of them are worth. I'm not going to spend the money to research price-wise on individual ones. I know the high-dollar ones for the most part, and I know the series on these and size-wise to look for. So this is just a silk. At this point, I'm in the profit margin-wise by almost 1,000, I think, off of this lot right here. And in my Patreon group, I've actually showed some close-ups on these and some techniques I do to improve and get more money out of these, basically. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. More sheet music. Nothing spectacular. World War I issue sheet music. It's cavalry. It's honorary. I got 14 or 15 bucks out of this one. Again, 50 cents or so on these. Another roller skating rink label. This is $25.88 on this one, just a paper label. Magazines, I took $12.50 on this one here, I believe. Yeah, $12.50 on this one. It's just a typical photography magazine from 1943. The pinup cover is why it's sold, so I wouldn't mess with most photography magazines of any kind from this era unless there's some good content. The actual pinup cover is why it's sold again, so just be careful. Comic book wise, I have several of these. This is number 2, I believe. I might have a couple more still of these up. 25 is what I took for these. Richard Corbin is the artist in these. Now, I look for Richard Corbin. There's specific ones I look for. Most people pass up these more adult, underground, I guess you could call them, I guess would be the best term on these. So I buy them all up, and I get them really cheap because most people don't want them and they think they're garbage. They don't look at the dates on some of these and don't realize that magazines, or comic books, I should say, like this, go way back into the 50s and 60s. That's another area that I look for when I'm buying big bulk lots of comics and things, or even individual ones. So many times people will pass these style up thinking the superhero Marvel comics are the ones you want. Some of these I've sold for hundreds of dollars. Crumb's a good example. Look up Crumb if you don't know who he is. Wrapper here, I've sold 3 of these for $6 a piece. This is something that I have maybe $4 into about 100 or so different wrapper lots from an auction. I personally won these at an auction, local live one actually. And I matched like ones together, so obviously I had 3 identical to this one. $6 a piece, $18 for 3 of these little paper labels. More sheet music. This is on the Old Fall River line. This is a steamship company. It's actually a real one too. This one did go for $18 on this one here. So again, 50 cents a dollar at the most. It's torn, it's got tatters, the whole works. This is one of those I've had up for a little while. There's nothing on this gentleman's band, Hank Stennett. I've listened to it. It's an oddball bopper. I took 25 on it. Again, once it hits a certain point, I just throw it out there. When I hit all my I guess, reference material for this, all the record sites, which I've got 6 or 7 that I can price things on, and my boards, and no one can tell me it's been up for 6 months or so, I blow these out. I don't worry. 25 bucks, I was fine. I paid $1 or less for this, so, you know, 20-buck profit just like that. Lighters, I sell them all the time. I took 20 on this one here, plus shipping. It's just a small trench torpedo style pocket lighter. They'd been used in the trenches, basically. That's why they call them that. It's in real good condition, so I'm happy with 20 bucks. I've got a quarter or something into this thing here. It wasn't even open. It wasn't even advertised as a lighter. It was in a bunch of stuff. It was closed. They just saw the metal. No one even investigated what it was the way it looked to me. Airline label, I think I got 12 on this one here. I sold a couple. It's a smaller one, so it's like 2.5 inches across. Now this is a poster stamp here. You can see it's only a couple inches across, a couple inches tall. It's Lowenbrow though, so it's a known company, obviously. It's just a foreign one too. If this was a U.S. one, it would have went for way more than that. $7.50 I got out of this one. I bought a collection of maybe 400 of these for 75 bucks. So, you know, that's just how I buy this kind of stuff. Sometimes I find them each, of course. Just a ratty out book, but it's an early one, 1828. I took 35 on this one, and it was shipped overseas somewhere. There's no standard pricing on some of these early books. You just have to know, don't price them too cheap, price them up there. 3 times is what I did on this one, what I expected. I would have been fine with 25. I would have probably taken 20 on this one. I've got 50 cents or $1 maybe at the most. I bought a bunch of not ratted out books, but the ones that weren't so great. You can see the spine. It's still all solid. It could have had another strip of leather replaced on it, and I do that sometimes. I actually save some of these covers, the leather covers from them, other books and stuff, and I'll rip it off and I'll re-glue it onto another book and just put it that it was repaired spine and recover it. Now you can tool it and all kinds of stuff too, so I don't spend the time to do that anymore these days. Occasionally I will. Now, here's one of the underground ones now. This one I was lucky. This showed up at a radio station hall. I was looking for records. This was produced by the local radio station here. I ended up with like 42 of these. Before I hit the market with them, they were running up into the, say, 95 a piece range, average. Now, I sold a bunch in the, say, 90 to 120 range when I first started listing these. Now that I'm down dwindling here, my stock, I just threw the last 5 up at whatever they'd go for. I put $59.99 because these were rare, but I found probably the biggest assortment of these that were known ever. Not that that's some huge, accomplishment. It was just pure luck. So literally I'm selling these now around 35 bucks a piece. So, it's taken a long time to get down to that price. I guess I could hold on to them for another couple of years and not list one, but, I just want them out. I paid 20 bucks for all those 40 some odd of these. So that gives you an idea. I've made a couple $1,000 off of this one single comic book here. Everybody's been happy. It's a generic comic book. It's something somebody just pretty much laid the pages together. There's no staples in it. It's from 1976. And the guy went on and did some other things too. So anyway, Richard Kelly. It's a known person anyway in the underground comics. Pocket watch chain. I think I got 30 bucks in shipping out of this one here. I had a bunch of these. I paid a couple bucks a piece for each one of these. This one's complete, so I'm fine with that price. It's a newer one. The Victorian ones I got around 70 bucks a piece for. And several of those were actually shown in my haul videos. And as well, I think I showed those in my What Sold videos. Just a tobacco label, 10 bucks. I get these all the time. Let's see here. Mother of Pearl, just a pair of cufflinks, 10 bucks out the door. They're not huge sellers and they don't sell quickly, but I do make a ton of money on them. It only takes me selling a couple a month to make, 30, 40 bucks extra on just these. Gen 13. I had a couple sets of these actually. I usually split them up into what I can get better money out of. It did sell for $33.75. And it's just 7 comic books. These are quarter ones or less. I buy these in bulk usually. Most people pass up these 90s, this stylistic comic book, but for the most part, they're hot right now. I've sold most of my Gen 13 stuff. I used to go to the comic stores back in the 90s too, so I've seen these. I picked up these. I had autographed ones and stuff that we've now since sold. I don't collect them anymore, but I never collected Gen 13. I just knew what it was and knew to buy it, so. Now, I was just going to show you these here. These are graphical religious cards, and I have a buyer for every one of these I get. Every single one is out the door, usually within, say, 48 hours of every one of these. This is a Marcus Ward. They show up in Bible collections and in religious stuff. I find these sometimes in church sales, flea markets, antique malls especially. So auctions they show up to, they're usually really dirt cheap because everybody thinks that the religious ones don't sell. Same person actually bought this one here too. Now this one's a really lovely one here actually. So, another Marcus Ward. Same person buys these. I have 3 people that return to my store probably every other week on average. And they buy, multiple ones. Some of them I'll let them hold off to the end of the month and I'll just charge them once. Put one big invoice together, they pay, and then off they go. And I'll just have to pull out 20 or 30 cards at the same time. So anyway, repeat customers are key to this working. When you have these type of stuff in your store, if you're not getting repeat customers, you're losing out big time. It's probably a detriment to your store, honestly. I've got over 20% of my customers are repeat customers. 1 in 5 people coming to my store and buying something any given month are customers that have been there before. That number needs to be high if you want this to work the best. That's why I can list stuff higher and stuff. People understand what they're going to get from me. They know I've been very diligent in quality condition. I pull out all the bad ones. I don't misquote what something is. I don't, put false words in my identification and things like that. So anyway. Another magazine, $8.50 I took on that one. Let's see here. This is a business card. Yeah, in fact, I don't remember exactly where I got it, but it's been up for a little while. If you look in the animation for my title to this actual channel, that is actually floating around in space with the rest of the items. I took $14.50 on it. So anyway. Now, this is Loope. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced. It's a German company. I've always pronounced it Loope. I had a ton of these, and I bought some more of these now. They're series. Now, these are mint condition cards from a collector. I bought 600 or 700 sets of these now on 2 or 3 occasions. Each set has 6 cards in it. So 600 or 700 times 6 is how many cards I got out of these. So almost 4,000, 3,600 to 4,000 individual cards I got, brand new looking, from this time frame, from collectors. So these are well collected. There's hundreds and hundreds of sets of these kind of cards. I'll hold on to these. Average price on these, I usually get $30 a set of 6 cards. I sell them probably 7 or 8 sets of these a month I sell. So it more than pays for it. In expenses to list that many sets, you're talking, you know, 15, 20 bucks. And if I'm turning that many at $30 plus a set, you can just figure out the math there as well too. Same person bought 3 of them again, repeat customers. Repeat customer, 30 some odd bucks. Repeat customer, 30 some odd bucks. And I'm blowing out some of my clothing and stuff. I still buy eyewear, though. I will tell you that straight out. I buy anything eye vision related. I do wear contacts. I've got many vintage pairs of glasses that I wear occasionally. I've got John Lennon style and the whole works. Wife loves those kind, too. But I do buy vintage eyewear. This is 80s. This is from my era growing up. I remember seeing these kind, you know, when we went sledding and stuff. I'm not a big ski person, never was. So we sled and we did toboggan and all that kind of stuff, and you know, boogie boards down the hill and stuff. So anyway, I took 25 on this one here. And the last one here is a set. These I've talked about before. I'm lucky enough to get stock NOS on some of these sometimes. This is literally from an NOS stock sheet from the 1870s and 80s. I tore out enough to get a set. Basically, a sheet of these has, I think this sheet had 4 different sets on them, but the way they were set up, you can't just tear them apart and get enough for one set. So I split these up. So let's say I buy a mint sheet at an auction. I buy one single sheet for 20 bucks. I can break up the sheet into 4 different sets, and then I list the sets for $57.50. I took 40 on this set, so I've already almost doubled my money after fees off the first set that sold that I separated. I know people say it's damaging historical merchandise or historical artifacts or whatever you want to call it, but it's not worth as much that way, so I don't mind splitting these up. They're rare to get a sheet of these, and if you sell them as a sheet, someone else is just going to do that. They'll buy it from you for cheap, and then they will actually cut it up and sell it. They'll keep a set for themselves probably, and then sell the other 3 sets out of this sheet to someone else. So it's to your detriment if you don't break stuff up like that. If you don't split up stuff like this, sometimes it's even better to split up sets. Let's say I bought that sheet set, you know, this sheet set, 4 sets. There's 20 different die cuts. It might be $10 a piece for me to sell them individually. So am I going to sell them, you know, separately? Yes. Am I going to worry about, you know, cutting up a sheet and, you know, I discard the actual maker mark and all that kind of stuff. I don't worry about any of that. It's not the issue. The issue is what the pieces are. They're anthropomorphic animals dressed up. They're big head versions of it too. So, you know, I'm in on this type of stuff. These are big head figures. They're called die cut scrap. So, well, there you go. There's some more items we sold in this past week. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified when I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell a friend.